The story opens with the protagonist lying down, absorbed in a live stream on his phone. On the screen, a virtual idol smiles brightly, talking about chasing her dreams and inviting fans to aim higher with her. To Riku, a devoted fan, this virtual world is captivating. Later at school, a friend invites Riku to hang out, but he immediately declines. He explains that he has plans to buy Haru merchandise and watch her stream later. His classmate notes that exams have only just ended, yet Riku is already resuming his Oshi activities with full force. Riku laughs it off, claiming his friend gives him too much credit, though the remark was hardly a compliment. The conversation shifts as the friend brings up Haru Hinomoto, mentioning that he recently started watching her content due to Riku's constant propaganda. He flips his phone around to show a specific channel responsible for the clips he watches. Riku internally panics. He recognizes the channel immediately because it is his own. His friend is impressed by the channel's 150,000 followers and polished editing, but points out that uploads stopped when exams began. As the friend guesses the uploader must be a student with a similar schedule, Riku grows nervous, realizing his identity might be exposed. Desperate to change the subject, he suddenly shouts out to a classmate, Sayonji, offering to help her carry the trash. Startled by the sudden offer, she accepts, and Riku drags his confused friend along to assist. Afterward, he tells Sayonji he will treat her to a drink next time. She finds it strange, pointing out that he was the one who helped her, but she eventually laughs and agrees to see him around campus. On his way home, Riku stops to buy a massive haul of Haru merchandise. Walking away upbeat, remembering he needs detergent, he steps into a drugstore only to spot Sayonji standing in the hair dye aisle. Not wanting to interact while carrying his fan goods, he decides to pretend he hasn't seen her. However, at that exact moment, the strap of his bag snaps, scattering his figurines and merchandise all over the floor. As he scrambles to collect his items, Sayonji approaches and hands him a figurine. She notes the coincidence, and Riku awkwardly admits he was looking away to avoid being seen. Rather than being annoyed, she blushes. True to his word, he treats her to a drink at a nearby park. Breaking the silence, he asks if the hair dye was for her college debut. She becomes defensive at the direct question, but admits he is right, lamenting that he caught her at an embarrassing time. Riku reassures her, stating that she doesn't need to change her image because she is already cute enough. Sayonji smiles at the compliment and returns one of her own. She brings up the original movie presented by the Film Research Club during the Cultural Festival 2 years ago. She asks if he was the one who edited it, confessing that she watched it and thought his work was incredible. She continues the conversation, admitting that while she knows little about screenplays or acting, the film Riku worked on captivated her immediately. She praises his editing, noting that even a graduating senior from the club had complimented his specific ability to time the music for maximum emotional impact. He humbly dismisses the praise, though he secretly feels happy to hear it. Sayonji sighs, confessing her envy. She believes Riku is wonderful because he has talent and a passion he is devoted to, whereas she lacks any real goals. She feels ashamed that she tried to change her image with the hair dye before even finding a direction. To cheer her up, Riku decides to reveal his secret. He shows her his phone, and Sayonji is shocked to see a channel with 150,000 subscribers. He points to the screen, introducing Haru Hinomoto as his absolute Oshian savior during his ups and downs. Even Sayonji, who has no interest in VTubers, recognizes the famous name. Riku insists that Sayonji is actually quite similar to Haru. He pulls out a figurine and explains that before Haru found the virtual world, she also lived aimlessly, without goals. He assures Sayonji that she simply hasn't found her passion yet, so there is no need to rush or force herself to change. Sayonji smiles, realizing he revealed his secret identity just to cheer her up. Riku jokingly suggests that if she wants to return the favor, she should start supporting Haru too, claiming it would create a perpetual cycle of happiness. She laughs, calling him a weirdo, but the mood is noticeably lighter. Suddenly, Riku checks the time and panics. He realizes Haru's live stream is starting soon, and she has promised an important announcement. He hastily says goodbye and sprints toward the station, accidentally leaving the small Haru figurine behind on the park bench. Later, he manages to catch a train and quickly opens the stream on his phone. As it loads, he excitedly speculates about the announcement, hoping for new merchandise, a collaboration, or an original song. However, when the video finally connects, the atmosphere feels wrong. Riku freezes as he notices the live chat going wild, realizing this is not the happy announcement he expected. On the screen, Haru Hinomoto makes her announcement. She will be stopping all activities indefinitely. She apologizes for the sudden news, but insists this is a decision made after much thought, hoping her fans can accept it. Riku freezes, his mind racing with panic. He struggles to process the word indefinitely, terrified that this might actually mean she is quitting forever. Desperate for an explanation, he stares at the screen, needing to hear her reasoning. Suddenly, the train comes to a violent halt, causing the passengers to jolt forward. In the chaos, the phone slips from Riku's hand and hits the floor. Before he can react, the doors slide open, and a wave of passengers rushes into the carriage. Riku scrambles to retrieve his device, but the overwhelming pressure of the crowd pushes him out of the train and onto the platform. As he stands there, disoriented, he catches a final glimpse of Haru's smiling face on the screen before the connection falters. Through his AirPods, he hears her fragmented voice suggest that her fans should find a new Oshi just as the train doors slam shut and the carriage pulls away. The signal cuts completely. Riku collapses onto a nearby bench, devastated. He feels abandoned, muttering to himself and questioning why Haru would leave after promising they would reach new heights together. He begs to hear her voice one last time, believing that as long as she is with him, he can keep going. Miraculously, his Bluetooth headphones reconnect as the stream's signal stabilizes. Haru's voice returns, clarifying her previous statement. She asks her fans not to misunderstand. Her indefinite break is not a retirement. Instead, she is preparing for a massive project called Virtual Sky, a new VTuber office designed to connect the virtual world globally. She explains that she needs this time to prepare so she can make this dream a reality. She encourages her fans to support other creators and find temporary Oshis to keep the world exciting while she is away. Riku listens intently as Haru acknowledges that many other people need support too, urging her fans to help them chase their dreams. Finally, she makes a solemn promise to come home, reminding them that she lives under the same sky as they do. With a final sign-off, the stream ends. Riku slumps back on the bench, his anxiety washing away. He realizes he jumped to the wrong conclusion and that Haru isn't leaving them behind. As he catches his breath, he hears hurried footsteps approaching him. Sayonji comes running up to the bench, breathless, and exclaims how relieved she is to find him still at the station. Sayonji hands him the Haru figurine he left behind on the park bench, along with the smartphone he dropped during the chaos at the station. She explains that she noticed the forgotten figurine and was running to return it when she saw him lose his phone. Riku suddenly realizes that the reason his Bluetooth audio reconnected earlier was that Sayonji had picked up the device and brought it back within range of his AirPods. He thanks her profusely, admitting that the situation would have been much worse without her help. Sayonji dismisses the gratitude, stating that she actually has something important to tell him. She thanks him for his encouragement earlier, which helped clear her mind. However, she admits she still has a strong desire to change and find a passion similar to the one he has for Haru. She asks if they can search for that purpose together, believing that with his help, she can finally find something to devote her life to. The word together strikes a chord with Riku. He immediately recalls Haru's final words from the stream, where she urged her fans to reach new heights, help others achieve their dreams, and find a new Oshi to make the world more exciting. Connecting Haru's wish with Sayonji's request, he realizes what he needs to do. After a moment of contemplation, he asks Sayonji if she would be interested in becoming a VTuber. As she stares at him in visible confusion, he doubles down on the proposal, declaring that he wants her to become his new Oshi. Sayonji is bewildered by the sudden request, demanding to know what he means by Oshi and VTuber. Riku reiterates his seriousness, but she panics, shouting that this is all too sudden and confusing. She insists on a proper explanation before she can even consider the idea. They sit down, and Riku explains the situation regarding Haru Hinomoto's indefinite hiatus. Sayonji understands that the idol he looks up to is gone for now, but she remains skeptical about why she should be the one to become a VTuber. She points out that she is just a mediocre person with no particular skills in singing or gaming. Riku stands up and counters this, insisting that he sees many good qualities in her. However, when she presses him for the specific reason he scouted her, he struggles to articulate it, admitting he just feels it has to be her. Realizing this isn't enough to convince her, Riku asks for a one-day grace period. He promises to return with a proper reason to prove his seriousness. Sayonji reluctantly agrees to listen to his explanation the following day before making her final decision. Riku beams with gratitude and waves goodbye, promising to see her after school. The next day in class, Sayonji watches videos of Haru Hinomoto at her desk. Feeling increasingly discouraged, she concludes that it is impossible for her to replace such a talented figure and resolves to turn Riku down so he can find someone else. Her thoughts are interrupted by classmates gossiping about Riku's absence, speculating that he might be skipping school due to the shock of Haru's hiatus announcement. Saionji feels a pang of disappointment, assuming Riku broke his promise to explain things to her. She tries to rationalize that his absence is for the best, as she intended to reject him anyway. Suddenly, Riku bursts into the classroom, out of breath from running. His friends tease him about the news, but he dismisses them, stating that Haru isn't graduating, and more importantly, he has a promise to keep. He makes meaningful eye contact with Saionji as he says this. Passing by her desk to take his seat, he whispers for her to meet him on the rooftop during lunch. Later, on the roof, Saionji tries to bring up the topic from yesterday, intending to deliver her rejection, but Riku interrupts her by handing over a file, asking her to take a look at it first. Saionji flips through the pages of the file, her eyes widening as she realizes the depth of the content. Riku admits that he spent the entire night summarizing the history of successful VTubers, analyzing their debut styles, social media growth strategies, and the specific triggers that kickstarted their popularity. He admits he got so absorbed in the research that he didn't realize it was morning until the sun came up. He stands up and points to a specific page containing a list of necessary equipment, casually mentioning that he will cover all the costs. Saionji stares at him in shock, asking why he would go this far for her. Riku reiterates that he is serious about supporting her as his Oshi and will do whatever it takes to ensure she succeeds. Despite his enthusiasm, Saionji looks skeptical. She asks, "Why me?" and argues that there must be plenty of other girls who are more dazzling, cute, and better suited for the spotlight. In response, Riku rummages through his bag and pulls out the small Haru figurine, handing it to her. He claims that this object is the reason he chose her. Riku points out that when she found the figurine yesterday, she could have simply returned it the next day. Instead, she ran all the way back to the station to give it to him immediately because she didn't want him to be worried or sad. He believes this proves that Saionji is naturally kind, someone who gives her all for the sake of others. He continues, explaining his philosophy. The VTuber he wants to cheer for is someone who can carry everyone's wishes and move forward. He believes that because Saionji draws strength from helping people, she can achieve her goals using the support of those she meets. When Saionji looks down and mumbles that she doesn't have a goal, Riku gently corrects her. He reminds her of her own words from the previous day, that she wanted to be someone who could devote themselves entirely to a passion. Saionji turns away, hiding her flushed face, embarrassed to hear her emotional confession repeated aloud. Riku presses on, bringing up the hair dye incident again. He reveals that he understood she wasn't just looking for a college debut makeover, she was looking at the dye because she wanted to become a different person entirely. He concludes that becoming a VTuber is the perfect solution. It allows her to step into a new identity while still being herself, making it the ideal first step toward the change she desires. Saionji hesitates, admitting that while Riku might be right, the idea of becoming a VTuber still feels like too drastic of a change. Riku counters by reminding her that her goal is to change and find something to devote herself to. He reiterates his desire to find her dream alongside her and witness what lies ahead, extending his hand to emphasize that it absolutely has to be her. Before he can continue, Saionji cuts him off. She stands up and confesses that she originally planned to refuse. She knows nothing about VTubers and feels she lacks the special talents that make online personalities so dazzling. However, seeing the immense effort Riku put into his research just to encourage her has changed her mind. She admits that his dedication made her happy and sparked a desire to try. With a newfound resolve, Saionji officially agrees to become a VTuber. She is still unsure of herself, but she is ready to take the first step. Overjoyed, Riku impulsively grabs her hand to thank her, causing Saionji to pull back and scold him for being so sudden. He quickly apologizes, promising to do his absolute best to meet her expectations. Saionji sighs, telling him he is exaggerating, but then pivots back to his unfinished sentence from earlier. She insists that since they are partners now, they need to build trust. Riku hesitates before admitting the truth. Despite attending the same middle school and high school, they never spoke. He regrets that they went so long without interacting, realizing now that they could have been good friends all along. Saionji laughs, teasing him for having such a shy side. She points out the irony of him being embarrassed by a genuine sentiment after saying so many bold and dramatic things earlier. Riku blushes furiously, realizing he walked right into that reaction. He abruptly ends the conversation to save face, telling her to keep her next day off open. When Saionji asks if they are going to buy a PC for her debut, he gives a thumbs up and corrects her. They aren't buying a computer yet. They are going to see Mama. The following day, Riku and Saionji travel by car to their destination. During the ride, Riku composes a mental message to Haru. He apologizes for the sudden contact, but feels compelled to share his new resolve. He tells her that he has scouted a girl who believes in him, and his new goal is to make her the best Oshi possible. He vows to do his absolute best so that Haru can focus on her own dreams, hoping that one day their respective Oshis will meet. As they arrive at the building, Saionji mentions her surprise at being told they were going to meet Mama. Riku laughs and clarifies the terminology. In the VTuber world, Mama refers to the artist who designs the character's avatar. He confirms that their Mama will be the famous artist Falaise. Saionji recalls the profile Riku showed her, noting that Falaise has over 100,000 followers and is known for incredible illustrations. She gushes about the delicate colors and beautiful eyes in his art, pointing out that he even drew fan art for Haru. Saionji asks if it is really okay to commission such a high-profile artist. Riku assures her it is fine, mentioning that he has a personal connection. Saionji is impressed by his network and admits she is nervous about meeting such a delicate artist. Based on the art style, she imagines Falaise must be an elegant lady. They arrive at apartment 503. Riku announces their arrival, and Saionji waits with bated breath. The door swings open, but instead of a delicate lady, a massive muscular man looms over them, greeting them with a casual, "What's up?" Saionji's imagination shatters instantly. Terrified by his imposing appearance, she trembles and hides behind Riku, wondering if they have the wrong house. Riku greets the man familiarly, confirming that this giant is indeed Falaise. Before Riku can finish the introduction, Falaise places a large hand over Riku's mouth to silence him, realizing they are making a scene in the hallway. He identifies Saionji and invites them inside to talk business, though his directness only frightens her more. Once inside, Falaise immediately chastises Riku. He points out that Riku obviously failed to warn Saionji about his appearance, which explains why she is terrified. Riku admits he forgot to mention it. Saionji, trying to be brave, steps in to defend Riku. Despite her fear, she tells Falaise that she has seen his illustrations on social media. She compliments his surreal design sense and the beautiful way he colors eyes. Falaise softens at the genuine praise, realizing that despite the rough introduction, they are all on the same page. The tension dissipates. They settle down to discuss the division of labor. Falaise will handle the artistic direction and character design, while Riku will manage the video editing and production. Saionji asks how Riku managed to get in touch with such a high-profile artist, wondering if they are close friends. Riku clarifies that he simply got the contact information through the community. Saionji is impressed, placing a hand on his shoulder and praising his connections, but Riku suddenly panics. He shouts that otaku are fragile creatures who might die if they get too close to their oshi, insisting that he can't just casually chat with a creator he reveres. Saionji sighs, realizing her heart raced for nothing, and suggests they get back to the main topic, her VTuber design. She hesitantly asks about the price, worried that a commission from a famous artist will cost a fortune. Falaise waves off her concern. He reveals that he actually has a favor to ask of them. If they accept his request, he will design the avatar for free. Saionji is suspicious of the condition. Riku, leaning into his skepticism, jokes that Falaise probably wants them to help with some unspeakable underground business. Falaise snaps, threatening to kick Riku into next week if he doesn't apologize immediately. Riku instantly drops to his knees in a perfect apology pose, terrified of the artist's wrath. Falaise accepts the apology and decides to save his request for later, shifting the focus to the character design. Riku mentions he has prepared some samples, but emphasizes that Saionji's opinion matters most. When Saionji admits she hasn't decided on a look yet, Riku offers advice. He reminds her that a VTuber avatar is an existence that is not you, but still you. He explains that in the virtual world, she can be anything she wishes, an elf, a robot, or even a guy, and asks if there is anything more fascinating than that freedom. Saionji smiles, agreeing that it sounds like a dream. After some thought, she tells them the kind of person she wants to be, a more mature version of herself. Falaise asks if she is sure, noting she could choose to be someone completely different. Saionji explains that while she wants to wear cute, idol-like outfits, she doesn't want to erase who she is. Referencing the hair dye incident, she explains that she wants to make a small change, moving forward step by step to become someone who can fulfill her dreams. Riku and Falaise exchange smiles, impressed by her clear vision. Falaise agrees that in this case, it is best to use Saionji herself as the base model. Saionji worries that her ideas are still too vague, but Falaise reassures her. He states that turning vague concepts into reality is exactly his job. He instructs Riku to help out, and together, the three of them begin drafting the plan for her debut. With the agreement settled, the three of them dive into a detailed discussion about the avatar's appearance. They brainstorm every aspect of the design, from the outfit to the facial features. After a while, Falaise finishes the rough sketch and displays it on the screen, asking for Saionji's opinion. Saionji stares at the monitor in amazement. She whispers that this is her, this is how she will look as a VTuber. Riku congratulates her, happy to see her reaction. Falaise remains humble, noting that the design is only taking shape to a certain extent, and that the real work starts now. Despite his modesty, Saionji is deeply moved. She expresses how happy it makes her to see her vague thoughts and feelings finally given a concrete form. Turning to Riku, Saionji tries to convey her gratitude. She admits that she has never felt these kinds of emotions before and acknowledges that she is only experiencing them thanks to him. However, as she pours her heart out, she notices that Riku isn't listening. He is staring intently at his smartphone, completely zoning out the conversation. Falaise notices the shift in atmosphere and asks what is wrong. Riku looks up, his face pale with shock. He reveals that he just received a direct message from Haru Hinomoto. Saionji and Falaise are stunned as Riku reads the message. Haru is thanking him for his earlier contact and asking if they can meet up to talk in person. Later, Saionji and Riku sit nervously in an office meeting room. Saionji remarks on the surreal turn of events. They have only just finished their high school graduation ceremony, yet here they are in a high-stakes meeting. She notices that Riku looks like he is on the verge of a breakdown. He repeats his desperate mantra that otakus will die if they get too close to their oshi. While Saionji finds his panic somewhat pathetic, she understands the gravity of the situation. He is about to meet the soul behind the top VTuber he has cheered for all this time. The door opens and a young woman enters, apologizing for the wait. She introduces herself as Hikari Moroboshi, the person behind the avatar, Haru Hinomoto. Saionji is surprised by how normal she appears compared to her dazzling virtual persona. Hikari turns to Riku, confirming his identity as the Clipper who has supported her for so long. Riku is visibly starstruck as she thanks him for his videos. Saionji introduces herself, noting that while Hikari shares Haru's voice, her tone is grounded and distinct from her online character. When Riku tries to address her formally, Hikari cuts him off, insisting he call her by her first name and referring to him affectionately as Riku-kun. The direct interaction is almost too much for him as he looks ready to faint. Saionji takes the lead, asking why they were summoned. Hikari explains that she wanted to meet the duo she read about in Riku's message. A boy determined to make a girl his oshi, and the girl who trusted him enough to become a VTuber. She felt their story aligned perfectly with her new project, Virtual Sky. Hikari speaks passionately about her new agency. She envisions a world where everyone gathers under one sky, connecting dazzling talents with fans, regardless of age or nationality. Saionji is awed by Hikari's serious dedication to her dream. However, Hikari shifts the focus, stating that this vision requires more than just talent. It needs skilled people working behind the scenes. Turning to Riku, she asks him to lend her his strength. Riku is shocked, trying to downplay his skills, but Hikari insists she knows his value. She reminds him of the clip that made her go viral, arguing that his success wasn't just due to editing techniques. She believes his true talent lies in his incredible ability to perceive and highlight a person's inner charm. Hikari elaborates on her request, explaining that Riku never just clipped interesting parts of a stream. Instead, he instinctively identified what made a VTuber charming and selected moments that reflected that specific appeal to the audience. She credits his videos for helping her discover sides of her own charm she hadn't known existed. She expresses her firm belief that if he lends his strength to Virtual Sky, the girls there will shine even brighter. Hearing this, Riku stands up and bows deeply. He apologizes profusely, stating that while he is extremely grateful and honored by her words, he cannot accept the offer. He glances silently at Saionji, his resolve clear. Hikari accepts his rejection with a graceful smile, admitting she had a feeling he would say that. She stands up and places a hand on his shoulder, wishing both Riku and Saionji the best. As a senior VTuber, she promises to cheer them on, encouraging them to fulfill their dreams under the same vast sky. Later, as they walk home, Saionji stops Riku and confronts him. She asks why he turned down Hikari. After all, she is the person behind Haru Hinomoto, his absolute #1 oshi. Riku admits that the offer made him happy, but he refuses to waver from his decision. He reminds Saionji of his promise to support her, declaring that Saionji is now his #1 oshi. Saionji is surprised but smiles, accepting the responsibility and vowing to do her best to live up to that title. Afterward, Saionji visits Falaise to report the news. He is impressed that Riku managed to stand his ground. Saionji admits that hearing Riku call her his number one made her happy and motivated her to work harder for her debut. However, as the conversation pauses, Saionji's expression darkens. Internally, she begins to panic, realizing she doesn't have a grand vision like Hikari does. Her mind is so consumed by the debut that she hasn't thought about her plans at all. She spirals, wondering what she should do to be worthy of being Riku's Oshi. Falaise notices her distress immediately. He tells her to raise her head, understanding that she is worried about her lack of a plan. He advises her that when she feels lost, it is best to get her body moving. He turns to the screen, displaying the finished illustration of her avatar. He suggests they try moving so that she can find the momentum to move forward herself. A week passes, after Saionji was told that he'll explain later. In the present, she waits for Riku when a knock at the door startles her. She assumes it's him, but instead, a cute porcelain-like girl steps inside. Falaise sits with the quiet young girl in the workroom. Apologizing for the surprise, he introduces her as his niece, Marie Izumi. Saionji notes that the two look nothing alike. When she asks why they are meeting her, Falaise reminds them of the favor he mentioned earlier in exchange for the free commission. Falaise reveals his request. He wants Riku and Saionji to become friends with Marie. He explains that his niece is extremely hushed, quiet, and socially withdrawn, so he believes interacting with others would be good for her. Furthermore, he drops the bombshell that he intends to have Mari work with them as the 2D modeler for the project. Saionji is confused by the term modeler. Suddenly, Riku's voice cuts in from the doorway, launching into a passionate explanation. He describes how drawing a standing image is not the end of the process. A creator is needed to turn the body, move the mouth, and change expressions. He explains that the person who brings life to the illustration is the 2D modeler, affectionately known in the VTuber community as the Papa. Saionji asks when he arrived, but Riku brushes off the question, satisfied with his explanation. Saionji realizes that when Falaise suggested they try moving yesterday, he wasn't just talking about the avatar. He was trying to distract her from her anxiety by introducing her to a new person. She feels touched that Falaise was looking out for her mental well-being. However, looking at the young, silent girl, Saionji finds it bizarre that this child will be her papa. Falaise admits that while he usually handles the rigging himself, he wants to use this commission as a chance for Mari to practice. Riku notes that for Falaise to delegate such a crucial role, he must be confident in her skills. Falaise confirms that he guarantees her ability, but reiterates that his primary selfish request is for them to befriend her. Riku accepts the challenge enthusiastically. He stands up and assures Falaise that if they combine their efforts, they will be friends with Marie in no time. Saionji joins in, turning to Marie and suggesting that, as comrades working toward the same goal, they should do their best as a team. Before Saionji can finish her sentence, Mari sharply rejects them, muttering a cold, "No way." The room falls into an awkward silence. When Riku tries to clarify, Mari repeats the refusal, stands up, and bolts out of the room, slamming the door behind her. Riku collapses onto the floor, clutching his chest in heartbreak, wondering what he did to screw up so badly. Falaise sighs, reassuring him that it wasn't his fault. Mari is just painfully shy. Noticing Mari's distress, Saionji decides to follow her. She finds Mari sitting alone on a sofa and asks to join her. Saionji gently brings up the earlier outburst, asking for clarification. When Mari shouted, "No way," was she referring to the work or the offer of friendship? Mari looks confused, admitting she was so nervous she didn't even hear the part about becoming friends. She confesses that she must have sounded incredibly rude. Saionji realizes that Mari was too overwhelmed to listen properly. Mari explains that while the presence of strangers made her anxious, her true fear was the job itself. She explains that her uncle, Falaise, told her about the team she would be working with, a super popular clipper and a world-famous artist. Mari is convinced that with such a high-profile team, the VTuber they create will explode like a supernova. Because this is her first real job, she feels completely unqualified to take on the heavy responsibility of being the papa for such a massive project. Saionji laughs softly, realizing the irony. Mari thinks Saionji is a professional, whereas Saionji knows she is just an amateur with no post-debut plans. Saionji takes Mari's hand and explains that she feels the exact same lack of confidence. She argues that this shared anxiety is precisely why she wants Mari to be her papa. Saionji tells her that just as she is taking a scary new step by debuting as a VTuber, Mari is taking a new step as a modeler. She wants them to be each other's confidants. Sayonji frames it as a request for support. If Mari can grow through this job, Sayonji will feel that she has succeeded in supporting her friend. She asks Mari to help fulfill her wish so they can move forward together. Mari is left speechless by the heartfelt plea. Suddenly, the moment is interrupted as Falaise and Riku burst into the room, shouting apologies. Falaise regrets rushing the decision without consulting his niece, while Riku apologizes for being overly friendly and using her first name too soon. They both bow their heads, begging Mari to reconsider and vouching for what a nice person Sayonji is. After a moment of silence, Mari speaks up, admitting that she is the one who should apologize for being rude earlier. She stands up and officially accepts the job, promising to take her first step. She adds dryly that seeing how pathetic and desperate Riku and Falaise are acting has actually helped her relax. Turning to Sayonji, Mari thanks her. She vows to create a VTuber model that will make Sayonji feel confident during her debut, returning the support Sayonji offered her. Sayonji smiles and agrees. To seal the partnership, the group puts their hands together, declaring their shared resolve to create the best VTuber possible. Late into the night, Riku remains at the office, focused on his tasks. Sayonji prepares to leave for the day, confirming that she will meet Mari at the station the following noon. Noticing that Riku shows no sign of stopping, she asks if he is sure about skipping his university orientation. Riku dismisses the concern, stating that attendance isn't compulsory, and he has too much work to do. Sayonji accepts his dedication and heads home. After she leaves, Riku stretches and organizes his to-do list, ready to power through the night. Suddenly, Mari approaches him, hesitating. After a long, heavy silence, she finally speaks up, asking Riku if he will go out with her. He freezes, completely stunned by the phrasing. Later, as they review the work-in-progress model of Sayonji's avatar, Mari explains her true intention. She feels that the current design, while accurate, fails to capture Sayonji's specific charm. Riku agrees, noting that minor movements and expressions are what truly convey emotion, much like how Hikari and Haru share similar mannerisms due to their shared nature. Mari explains that she needs to observe Sayonji's natural expressions to improve the model. She invited Sayonji on an outing, but she fears that if it is just the two of them, Sayonji will be too considerate and polite to truly relax. However, she believes that if Riku is present, Sayonji will show her more natural side. Riku understands the logic but hesitates, noting that being the third wheel on a girl's outing is a high hurdle. Before he can refuse, Falaise looms over him with a dark expression, silently daring him to say no. Terrified, Riku immediately agrees. Accepting his fate, Riku sends a stiff, formal message to Sayonji informing her that he will be joining the outing as a bag carrier. Sayonji is puzzled by his strange tone but accepts it. The day of the outing arrives. Mari apologizes to Riku for dragging him along, but he reassures her that he is happy she relied on him. He encourages her to relax and have fun so she can observe Sayonji properly. Sayonji arrives shortly after, exchanging greetings with the group. As they walk, Mari asks to stop at a store and steps away to check the map. Left alone with Riku, Sayonji teases him, noting that he seems to have gotten much closer to Mari. Riku hesitates, unsure how to explain the situation without revealing the secret observation plan. Sayonji presses him on what he and Mari were whispering about earlier, but Mari returns before he has to answer. Sayonji winks at him, whispering that he can tell her later. Riku nervously realizes the irony. He is supposed to be observing Sayonji, but she is the one observing him. Inside the drugstore, Mari purchases eye drops, explaining that eye care is essential for people who stare at PC screens for hours. Sayonji laughs, impressed by Mari's professional mindset even while shopping. As they browse, Sayonji wanders over to a specific shelf. Riku notices she is looking at hair dye. Sayonji admits that looking at the boxes reminds her of when she felt lost and almost dyed her hair to make a college debut, reflecting on how close she was to doing something stupid. Riku gently corrects her, insisting it wasn't stupid. He praises her courage for wanting to change herself, telling her she shouldn't put herself down. Sayonji thanks him for the validation. With the mood lightened, she suggests they finish shopping there and move on to the next store. Walking through the mall, Mari whispers to Riku that he is amazing, likely referring to how he comforted Sayonji earlier. When he asks why, she simply smiles and stays silent. They continue shopping for a while longer until Sayonji notices a food court and suggests they take a break. Riku privately notes how observant Sayonji is. She realized Mari and Riku were exhausted before they even said anything. They sit down, and Sayonji says she is happy as long as Mari is having fun. Mari looks at her warmly, thanking Sayonji for being so gentle and kind, not just today, but always. Sayonji becomes flustered by the sincere praise, mumbling that she doesn't really know herself that well. Overwhelmed by the compliments from both of them, Sayonji excuses herself to go to the restroom. Alone in the restroom, Sayonji reflects on their words. She realizes that her kindness, the very trait Mari praised, is the specific reason Riku scouted her in the first place. Feeling a renewed sense of confidence, she returns to the food court, but her mood instantly shifts. She spots a foreign man talking to Mari, who looks visibly terrified. Assuming Mari is being harassed, Sayonji rushes forward to help, but Riku beats her to it. Stepping in smoothly, Riku addresses the man in his native tongue. The tension dissolves instantly as the man smiles, thanks him, and walks away. Riku explains to the girls that the man was simply asking for directions to a specific shop. Mari admits she mistook his intentions because of his appearance and panicked due to the language barrier. Sayonji is amazed by Riku's fluency and asks how he managed to catch the fast-paced speech. Riku shrugs, claiming it is simply because he watches international VTubers. He tells them that love can become strength. The passion for something can become the driving force to learn real-world skills. Mari is deeply inspired by this philosophy. She vows to put all her love for Sayonji into making the best model possible. A few days later, the team gathers at the studio. Falaise announces that the time has finally come. Riku excitedly praises Mari for her hard work. Mari thanks them, unveiling the completed live 2D model on the screen. Sayonji is ecstatic, shouting that it is amazing. She hugs Mari tightly, thanking her for creating such an incredible avatar. Mari humbly redirects the credit to Falaise and Riku, adding that, above all, she poured her love for Sayonji into the work. Sayonji declares that it is now her turn to meet everyone's expectations, promising to do her best no matter what. Riku smiles, saying he has a present for her. He suddenly slams a massive stack of thick manuals onto the table, explaining that these are the checklists and protocols she must memorize before her debut. Sayonji stares at the mountain of work, tears streaming down her face as she realizes how tough being a VTuber really is. Mari laughs, encouraging Sayonji that they will do their best together.
Here I am, know it's been a while.